Behaving requires thinking. Behaving requires thinking. That was the subject line of an email I got this morning, and I took it as a sign that I should write about what has been on my mind lately. This week, my mind was on Chapter 4 of Raising Good Humans. That's the current book club selection. Taking care of difficult feelings. This is the chapter that made me want to reread this book. I've read it as a book club at least once before. There was this exercise in it that really resonated with me the first time I tried it. But first, let me set up the premise of the chapter. We all have quote-unquote difficult feelings. I mean, life is not all sunshine and lollipops. And let's face it, as a parent, you're going to have a lot of difficult feelings come up a lot of the time. When your child takes toys from others, or conversely lets children take toys from them constantly. When your child hits, when they won't listen, when they won't sleep, when they look you right in the eye and do exactly what you told them not to do. Yeah, being a parent is triggering. And yes, we will all be triggered. We're human. And that's why we can't access all of that lovely, intentional parenting strategies that we've read about and aspire to. But if we can move past that response, we can access our rational sides and respond thoughtfully. And the promise or premise of this book is to break the cycle of being a triggered, reactive person and parent. The question is, how do you do it? This is the chapter that really gets to the heart of it, because the previous chapters have encouraged mindfulness and awareness of patterns and triggers, and those practices can really help, sometimes. But the moments of overwhelm will come for you, and when they do, most parents I know want to exit that feeling as fast as possible. I know I do. And this chapter offered a couple of different exercises for helping people re-regulate quickly. One of those exercises, TIPI, worked like magic for me when I first read this book. I'd had an argument with my husband, which I'm sure I was in no way responsible for. I'd had it right before I was leaving for work. And the closer I got to work, the more alarmed I was that I was still feeling so upset. I didn't want to show up so visibly upset. And calling my mom didn't work, deep breathing didn't work, but following the simple steps of TIPI did. I simply brought my attention to the physical sensations I was experiencing, like my hot cheeks, my clenched hands, my rapid breathing, and I very quickly became calm. I didn't try to change anything. I just noticed the sensations. And it was like a magic shortcut to calmness. I was hooked. Now, I happened to be rereading this chapter for this book club when I very obligingly had a minor panic attack. Yikes. So I reached for the TIPI technique, but it didn't help, and somehow it seemed to make things worse. But I remembered another technique, the yes-no technique. So I tried it. Rather than trying to stuff down my feelings, which would be saying no, I said yes to the feeling. Yes, I'm having a panic attack. I felt my body start to relax. I flopped over into a forward fold and I came back online. The reason I share this very personal experience is because I had an aha in that moment. I realized that relaxed feeling that I was having was familiar. It's that feeling I have when I'm teaching and children are hitting or taking toys. I'm stressed by it, sure, but I'm not holding on to the stress. I'm not saying, oof, I shouldn't be feeling this. Instead, I know that what's happening is okay. It's normal, and I can breathe through it. My calmness helps children feel secure, yes, but more importantly, it helps me stay present and intentional. And that's what I said to a parent in class this week. I don't think I explained it well, but I hope this newsletter might make it clearer, not only for them, but for everyone who's reading it or listening to it. It's triggering to see your child take toys and be rough. It doesn't feel good, and we want to change the behavior. But the behavior is what it is right now. It's not caused by you, and it's not your child's fault. If you can let go of that feeling of, I want this to be different, and you just let it move through you, your body will relax, your hands will be gentler, your energy will be firm but not sharp, and you will be able to think more clearly. Yes, you have to keep children safe, but if you miss a moment and your child is rough, forgive yourself and her. The more you heap shame and guilt on yourself for not catching it, the more vigilant you try to be to stop every possible action, the more rigid and uncomfortable you will become, which can lead to a vicious cycle of you feeling more and more anxious. Now, this advice sounds counterintuitive. I mean, you want to stop feeling triggered and upset, so why would you lean into that feeling? And I am definitely not saying you should sit in it and let it freeze you. But when you let yourself just feel it, yes, this is hard. Yes, I wish she had not just smacked her friend. Yes, I feel like I'm doing something wrong because this keeps happening. Feel it, accept it, and let it move through you. Accept what is happening. Otherwise, you are living in the land of quote-unquote shoulds. My child should be able to keep themselves from hitting. My child should listen to me. My spouse should have anticipated that I needed the dishwasher emptied. Yes, all of those things should have happened, but they didn't. If you keep living in should, you can't address what is. Being triggered and angry are universal experiences, and there are universal techniques to help us get back to regulated. And just like not every technique will work for every person every time, not every messenger has to articulate it in the same way. There's Hunter Clark Fields, Mona Delahook, Janet Lansbury, and someone I just learned about, Dr. Christian Conti. But I'll share more about him in a future post. Bringing it back to the initial thought, which was behaving requires thinking. Keep in mind that when any of us, your children included, are triggered and dysregulated, we're operating on instinct, not logic and not thinking. If we want to teach children skills, we have to be calm and thinking, and so do they.